In this video, we're talking all about our Promaster roof setup. How much solar were we able to fit? How did we make a roof rack for under $200? How do we keep the Starlink from flying off at highway speeds? And also, how did we end up cutting a hole in the roof of a finished van again for a second time? All that's coming up. We already showed you how we installed our Max Air fan in a separate video, but it's worth mentioning here that we did install that fan as far to the rear of the van as we possibly could to make space for as much solar as possible towards the front. We knew we wanted to fit as much solar as possible on this. We have 900 amp hours of lithium batteries in this build, as well as a fully electric kitchen. So we needed a way to make sure that those batteries stayed topped up, and that is why we needed to make sure we were taking up every square inch that we could with solar panels. We've had awesome luck with the Rich brand solar panels in the past with both of our boats. So we decided to go that route again, and we started looking at what format of their panels would fit this the best. And their 250 watt panels were nearly a perfect fit width-wise. So that's the route we went.
Yes, the 250s end up being like just like a hair wider than the width between the studs on the roof. So that worked out perfectly.
Once we knew we had panels that would fit, the next step was figuring out how we would attach them to the roof of the van without spending an insane amount of money for a roof rack. Remember, this is a budget build.
So for the rails for our roof rack mount, or whatever you want to call it, we decided to use Unistrut because it's available locally, it's inexpensive, and there's no shipping or anything like that. But Promaster is kind of unique, and it has these T-studs that stick out of the roof of the van. And a lot of companies make brackets that are attached to it. And I didn't really like any of the brackets on the market because the way that all the other ones are designed, they simultaneously push down on the sheet metal of the roof and pull up on the stud. And when you peek inside on how it's constructed, the stud is welded into the frame, but not directly welded to the sheet metal on the top. So like if you tightened it too much, you could break the caulk that holds the two together and cause a water leak. And I also didn't like sandwiching metal on the roof. So,
because it traps a lot of moisture, a lot of dirt,
so
that kind of thing.
It traps moisture, dirt, and this van had a similar amount up there, and I've had to kind of repaint that area because of that. So I came up with our Penny Pro mounts, which sandwich the T-stud between pieces of stainless steel, don't trap moisture, and don't put any pressure on the sheet metal. So we used the Penny Pro mounts to install two galvanized 12-foot Unistrut rails on the roof of the mount. And that worked great, and the cost was just over $200.
We really wanted to provide the DIY Campervan build community with a more effective and less expensive option than what was on the market. We've spent the last year testing and perfecting these mounts, and they are now available for you to purchase in our store, and we will ship them to you so you can also have a very inexpensive and awesome option for a roof rack. Now that we had somewhere to attach the solar panels to the van, now we had to figure out how to get the panels themselves onto the Unistrut, and we'll cut back to that footage on how we did that.
In addition to the roof mounting brackets that I made, I also designed up these solar panel mounting brackets and had them made as well from the same place. They're made out of 1/8 inch stainless steel plate, and they will attach to the solar panels, and they will also attach to the roof rail. So this is literally what attaches the solar panel to the roof rail. In order to attach these to the solar panel, I need to drill 2 holes in each corner. Bolt, fender washer, bracket, solar panel, second fender washer, and finally a lock nut. Because I don't want these things coming apart. They bolt to the solar panel themselves here and here with 2/4 20 bolts. And they allow you to bolt the solar panel directly to the Unistrut. And to do that, you use one of these Unistrut
nuts, and they simply just pop into the rail. You rotate them a quarter turn, and then you use the little tabs to get it right where you need it. And then you can stick in your bolt. As you can see here, I did not use a stainless bolt. And tighten it down. And you're done. So one other thing to point out is that if you want to get your panels closer together, you can actually stack them like we've done in between there.
We've also made these solar brackets available in our store. They make attaching metal framed solar panels to Unistrut incredibly easy. They make it so that you don't really have to like be ridiculously precise, and you can kind of move the panels a little bit to get as much space as you can out of them.
At this point, we got the van, we got the solar cells. Let's explain for the second time how we had to cut a hole in a finished van.
If you don't know the lore behind this, when we did our first van build, we installed the roof vent fan at the very, very end.
Brought an abundance of YouTube comments being like, you're an idiot. Why would you do this last? I'm like, well, because I didn't do it first. Thank you.
It was my fault. In this build, we knew we wanted an air conditioning unit eventually, but we didn't budget for it initially. But we got to the end of the build and we were under budget by about $5,000. And then we went on our first little like shakedown couple days out. And I was finding it really, really difficult to leave Aiden behind in the van, even with our temperature monitoring in like 65, 70 degrees. So we knew this was going to be a problem further down in the road when we were in the desert or wherever else. So we decided to just bite the bullet, use some of that budget that we were under, and install an air conditioner unit now. It wasn't pretty. The interior of the van looked like a scene from Dexter for 2 days. We had to move the solar panels around. And then there were some very much us shenanigans to get a 70-pound air conditioner unit up onto the roof of the van, not break solar panels, and ourselves. So,
yeah.
But it's there, and I am so incredibly happy we did it. It just makes leaving Aiden so easy. It's such a comfort thing. If we have learned so much about kind of the lifestyle that we live between the boat and the van, the one thing that will make your life more comfortable and just better overall is climate control, whether that's heat or air conditioning. It is incredibly it's
worth it. It's worth it in our opinion.
It's very good money spent, and I'm very happy we did it. We're going to do a separate video on why we chose the Dometic RTX 2000 and like why we love it. But one of the primary reasons that we chose it and has to do with our roof setup and the fact we did this after the fact. It was wider than it is long, so we were able to fit it between our panels without having to lose any solar and have to buy new panels. So that was a huge plus for us. The last item on our roof is our Starlink. Starlink is a necessary evil for us because Andy still works a corporate job and needs reliable internet. And it is the most reliable internet on the market. It's just a fact at this point. We knew we wanted to roof mount the Starlink so that we could use it while we were driving, so that Andy could get hours in at his job while I was driving us from point A to point B.
So that led us to modifying our dishy to be a wedge mount. Ours was one of the older ones that have the like spinning around thing. So we bought this 3D printed base designed by Jason at the Everlanders YouTube. We'll put a link to that video because it's really good on how this modification works. And we stuck it to the roof with some magnets.
It's also tied to the Unistrut,
Yeah.
So if for whatever reason the magnets failed, which they haven't, like it would still be attached to the van. It's not going flying off. But one of the big pieces about this setup with the magnets is that it allows us to move the dishy off of the roof and out into a clearer area if we're in spots like we're in right now where there's a ton of trees. The extra wire just coils underneath of it, and we can uncoil that, get up on the ladder, grab the dishy, and move it out into like a clearer area to reduce obstructions. We don't do it very often. didn't have to do it at all when we were out west. It's
No.
more of a East Coast thing.
It's an East Coast New England thing.
East Coast in Canada.
Where there are trees.
Yeah, where there are actually trees. And the very last roof-related item is our collapsible ladder.
Yes. We decided not to do like a rear-mounted ladder for cost reasons. So we got this collapsible ladder, and it's fantastic. We can move it wherever we need to shovel snow or clean off the solar panels or do whatever.
We're going to put a link to a blog post that will include all of the products that we've talked about today, plus a cost breakdown of this part of our build in the description of this video. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.